Take, she said, pressing the crumpled money into his shaky hand. The man looked up slowly. His eyes were wild, tired, and lost. His hair was dirty, his clothes torn. People said he was mad. Some threw stones at him. Some spat. But Amaka, she knelt beside him and gave him food. What she didn't know was that the man sitting in rags wasn't who he seemed. He had secrets. He had power. And he was searching for something money couldn't buy. Amaka was not like other girls in the village. Yes, she was beautiful. But what made her special wasn't just her face. It was her heart. She helped the old that had no children. She greeted the young. Even the stubborn pepper seller would smile when Amaka passed. Amaka was the only child of Honorable Anthonia, the famous woman in Lagos who built estates and donated to churches. At 30, Amaka had everything. Cars, mansions, hotels. His house had a swimming pool shaped like a guitar. He had more clothes than the boutique in town. Every woman he dated only wanted his money. They smiled with their lips but counted his account balance with their eyes. They called him babe in the morning and ATM by night. He was the biggest distributor of luxury chandeliers and golden lights in Nigeria. Every 2 months, he packed his bags and flew far away to China. Not for fun. Not for shopping. But to buy the finest lights. The brightest chandeliers. The kind of lights that make a room feel like heaven has come down. He was the best in it. Big men knew him. Even governors bought lights from him. But one evening, after one of his trips, as he walked into his house tired, he saw his mother, sitting in the living room. Her eyes were sharp. Her wrapper was tied firmly like someone ready for battle. Amaka, she said. You are now 30. You have money. You have power. But you are still jumping around like a lost goat. It's time to be serious. It's time to get married. Amaka sighed. Mummy, not again. But she raised one finger and said quietly, my friend's daughter, Cynthia, is coming back from America. She's smart and beautiful. She just finished her master's degree with first class. I want you to meet her. Amaka scratched his head and looked at the ceiling. He didn't really want to. But he loved his mother. He loved her more than money. So he nodded slowly. Okay, Mummy. I'll meet her. Cynthia arrived 2 days later. She came out of the airport like a queen. Her hair was long and straight. She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Cynthia was very rude. She talked to the driver like he was her dog. She shouted at the maid because the tea wasn't hot. 2 weeks later, Amaka took her out for dinner. Amaka wore a clean white shirt and smiled as she walked in. Cynthia, you look beautiful, he said. She smiled proudly. I know. They ordered food and talked about travel, business, school, and Lagos life. Then something happened. The waitress, a young girl with tired eyes, brought a tray of drinks. Her hands were shaking a little as she tried to place the wine on the table. One glass tipped over. The red wine splashed onto Cynthia's shiny white dress. And just like thunder on a clear day, Cynthia's palm landed on the girl's cheek. The whole restaurant went quiet. Even the music stopped. People turned to look. The girl's eyes filled with tears. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She just bowed and ran away. Amaka's heart broke in two. His face turned cold. His smile disappeared. Cynthia, what did you just do? He asked. She rolled her eyes. What kind of nonsense is that? How dare she soil my expensive dress? Dinner ended just like that. He drove her home in silence. But still, they started dating. Because Amaka wanted to make her mother happy. He thought maybe, just maybe, things would get better. After some weeks, Cynthia moved into Amaka's house. She ordered the cook around. She told the cleaner how to clean. She even told Amaka when to sleep. At first, he tried to be patient. He told himself, this is just adjustment. It will pass. But it didn't. One evening, they had a small quarrel. Amaka told her not to scream at the gate man. She screamed at him instead. And then, she did something shocking. She pushed him. He missed his step. He fell down the stairs. He hit his head and blood gushed out. And everything went dark. When Amaka opened his eyes, he was in a hospital. He couldn't remember his name at first. His head hurt. His body felt like it had been hit by a truck. He stayed in the hospital for months. The doctors said it was a head trauma. He needed time to heal. Cynthia didn't visit much. She came once. Then sent flowers. Then disappeared. When he finally left the hospital, he sat alone in his house and cried. He looked at his life. He remembered what his grandmother once said. You need a woman who sees your heart, not your house. So he took a decision. A big one. One that shocked even his own heart. He would go to a place where no one knew his name. And find love, the real kind. The morning was dark. The sky was crying, soft rain fell like a baby sobbing in sleep. Amaka held her big umbrella tightly as she walked to her small salon. The road was wet and muddy. Frogs jumped. A madman was standing on the veranda of her shop. His clothes were soaked with rain. His shirt was torn and his trouser had holes like rat bites. His hair was a twisted mess of long, dirty locks. Amaka's heart beat fast. Was he dangerous? Should she run? Then she looked into his eyes. And her legs stopped shaking. Because his eyes. She saw someone who had cried in the dark with no one to hear. She slowly walked past him, opened the salon, and said quietly, "Come inside, before the rain carries you away." The man didn't speak. He just followed her in like a quiet shadow. He sat on the wooden bench near the mirror and stared at the wall. Amaka didn't ask questions. She didn't chase him away like others would. She just sat in her chair, cleaned her tools, and hummed softly. After some time, the rain stopped and the sun came out. The man stood up. He looked at Amaka with those tired, sad eyes. Then he walked out. Not a word. Not a smile. Amaka started the saloon so she can feed her family. She worked hard morning till night. She braided hair, fixed weaves, washed heads, and smiled through the pain. But beside this golden girl was her best friend, Ngozi. Ngozi was different. She was beautiful too, but her beauty had sharp edges. She loved the attention of boys. She wore tight clothes and chewed gum loudly. The old women in the village didn't like her. They said she was rude, wild, and disrespectful. She would laugh at old women. She would roll her eyes when elders greeted her. And she jumped from one boy's bed to another like she was in a game. Yet, somehow, she was always at Amaka's salon. "I want to learn how to make hair," she would say. But she rarely learned. She came late. She gossiped. She brought trouble. Still, Amaka allowed her. Because in her heart, Amaka believed people could change. But everything truly changed after the madman came. He just sat on the ground across the road, beside the mango tree. He started begging school children for coins on their way back home. Some gave him. Some ignored him. Some laughed and threw groundnuts at him. Ngozi hated him. One day, he asked her softly, "Please, give me small change." Ngozi turned. Her eyes were sharp. Her lips were angry. She picked up a stick and hit him on the back. "Leave this place, you dirty thing," she shouted. "Go and beg your mad mother." The man didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just stood up slowly and walked away with tears in his eyes. Amaka saw it. She was shocked. Angry. Heartbroken. She pulled Ngozi aside and said firmly, "Don't you ever do that again." Ngozi laughed. "Ah, Amaka, so you've joined mad people now? Maybe you and him should marry." She didn't answer. But that night, as she swept her salon and locked the doors, her heart was heavy. She kept thinking of the man. The way he walked. The way he looked at the world like it had betrayed him. And a tiny voice inside her whispered, "This man is not who he seems." One afternoon, Amaka had just finished sweeping the front of her salon when she saw him again. He was sitting under the mango tree, as usual. Quiet and still. His back resting on the tree, his eyes half closed like he hadn't slept in years. Amaka looked at him for a long time. Then she walked slowly across the road. She knelt down beside him and pressed money gently into his hands. "Here," she said softly. Take, buy food and eat. The man didn't speak. He looked up at her. His eyes met hers. And for a moment, everything around them faded. There was only her. And him. And a strange silence between their eyes. Then, slowly, he smiled. It wasn't big and loud, but it was real. And it made Amaka's heart feel warm like sunshine on a rainy day. From that day, something changed in Amaka. She started packing an extra plate of food from her house every morning. She would quietly cross the road and place it beside the mango tree where he sat. The madman never said a word. He just looked at her with soft, thankful eyes. And smiled. Then she would go back to her salon like nothing happened. One evening, after closing her salon, Amaka walked home slowly. She sat beside her blind mother and told her everything. Mama, there's this man. He stays by my shop. People call him mad. But he's not like the others. I feel sorry for him. I give him food. And he always smiles at me. Her mother listened quietly, nodding her head. Then she touched Amaka's hand gently and said, My daughter, it's good to be kind. Even the Bible says so. But don't give your whole heart to strangers too quickly. Kindness is a beautiful thing. But the world is not always kind in return. Amaka nodded. Yes, Mama. I understand. But her heart didn't stop thinking about that quiet man with the sad smile. Meanwhile, Ngozi had started talking. She told the other girls in the village market. You people think Amaka is holy. She's not. She's in love with that dirty beggar. They gasped. Some laughed. Some rolled their eyes. Some said, it's a lie. But the gossip spread like fire. Soon, even the pepper seller asked, Amaka, how is your mad boyfriend today? Amaka just smiled. She didn't fight. She didn't shout. She knew the truth. And the truth was her heart was just kind. Then 6 months after, something strange happened. Amaka got to her shop and looked under the mango tree. No one. She searched everywhere. But the madman was gone. Gone like smoke in the sky. She asked the bread seller, Have you seen the man who stays here? The woman shook her head. No, I thought he was with you. She asked the Okada riders. She asked the children. No one knew. Days passed. 1 week. Then 2 weeks. And still, nothing. Amaka's heart began to worry. Where did he go? Was he okay? Did someone hurt him? She missed his quiet eyes. His small smiles. The way he sat still like a tree waiting for rain. Then, on a very sunny afternoon, just as she was twisting a customer's hair, she heard a loud vroom. A black G-Wagon stopped right in front of her shop. Everyone turned. The car was big. Shiny. Smooth like chocolate. The door opened slowly. And when the man stepped out, Amaka's mouth dropped open. Her comb fell from her hand. Her legs began to shake. It was him. But not the madman she knew. It was Amaka. And he was handsome. So handsome Amaka almost forgot how to breathe. He walked straight to her salon. People outside began to whisper. Children gathered. Amaka smiled at her. Then he said softly, in a voice that made her heart flutter. Amaka, I was never mad. I only wore those clothes to hide myself. I was looking for someone who would love me, not my money. You gave me food. You gave me kindness. You gave me peace. Then, in front of everyone, he looked deep into her eyes and said, Will you be my girlfriend? Amaka stood still. She didn't say a word. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was running faster than a goat in the market. She just looked at him, shocked, confused, speechless. That night at home, she sat with her mother and told her everything. Her mother held her hand gently. My daughter, kindness is a seed. And see, it is already growing into something beautiful. But don't rush. Pray. And be careful. The next day, Amaka was braiding a customer's hair. Ngozi sat beside her, chewing gum and pretending to help. She was already mocking the whole thing. So, rich people now pretend to be mad. I don't believe it. Maybe it's a trick. Amaka just smiled and said nothing. Then, Another car pulled up. But not the same one. This time, it was a red Range Rover. Amaka stepped out again, looking fresh and calm. He walked straight into the salon, this time with a small gift box. He gave it to Amaka. "Don't open it here," he said. "Wait until you get home." Ngozi's eyes followed the box like a hungry cat watching fish. That night, Amaka sat on her bed. Her heart was beating fast. She slowly opened the box. Inside was a soft red dress, her perfect size. Folded beside it was a letter. She opened it slowly, and it read, "Please, be my girlfriend." At the bottom of the box was a brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max. Shiny, untouched, beautiful. Tucked in the phone case was a small piece of paper. On it was a number. His number. She picked up her phone. Her fingers were shaking just a little. She dialed the number. It rang once, twice. Then she heard his voice. Soft, deep, and warm. "Hello, Amaka." She smiled, her voice full of joy, like someone whose heart had finally found home. "Amaka, I will be your girlfriend. Not because you're rich, but because I loved you from the very first day. Even when you looked like a madman." There was silence. Not because he didn't want to speak, but because his heart was too full. Then she heard it. His soft laughter. The sound of a man who had finally found peace. 2 months later, a big truck stopped in front of Amaka's old house in the village. Her mother, holding her white walking stick, stood by the door. Her 2 younger brothers carried their school bags, eyes wide with wonder. They were all moving to the city. Not just anywhere. To a clean, bright apartment with running water, soft beds, and sparkling tiles. The kind of place Amaka used to only see in magazines. Then came the surprise. A brand new salon. Bigger than anything she ever dreamed of. It had shiny glass doors. Gold-plated mirrors. Spinning chairs. A dryer that looked like something from a movie. Above the door, in beautiful bold letters, it said, "Amaka's Palace, where beauty begins with kindness." She stood in front of it, speechless. Tears filled her eyes. She turned to Amaka. "You did all this, for me." He nodded. "You gave me food when I had nothing. You gave me respect when everyone else gave me shame. You saw me when I was invisible." One quiet evening, Amaka took her to a rooftop restaurant. The city lights blinked like stars below. There was a soft violin playing in the background. The air smelled like roses and roasted chicken. She wore the red dress he had once given her. She looked like a dream. Then Amaka stood up. He held a small box in his hand. He bent one knee, right there on the rooftop, and said, "Amaka, I had given up on love. I thought every woman only loved my money. But then I met you. And you showed me that love is still real. Please, be my wife." She gasped. Her hands flew to her face. Tears rolled down her cheeks like raindrops on glass. She couldn't speak at first. But then, she nodded slowly. "Yes. Yes, Amaka. 1,000 times, yes." Everyone in the restaurant clapped. Some cried. Some took pictures. But to Amaka, nothing else existed in that moment. Only the man who had once sat in the rain outside her salon. That night, they sat in their new living room. They laughed. They cried. They told each other stories. Stories of pain, of hope, of second chances. Then Amaka smiled and said, "Next week, we're going to Dubai. And after that, London, Paris, and Rome. I want to show you the world." Amaka blushed. "All these places? For me?" He nodded. "For the woman who gave me her heart, when I had nothing in my hands. Back in the village." News had spread fast. The girl they once mocked for being kind to a beggar was now living her dream. But Ngozi's story was different. She had gotten pregnant for a rich, married man. A man old enough to be her father. She agreed to be his third wife. But deep down, her heart was full of pain. She sat alone some nights, looking at the salon Amaka used to work in. And she wondered, what if I had been kinder? What if I had treated people better? One morning, Amaka stepped into her new salon. The scent of sweet shampoo filled the air. Her staff greeted her with smiles. She looked around and smiled at all the girls learning to braid, just like she once did. Then she whispered to herself. Truly. It pays to be kind. Not just to the people you know, but to strangers too. Because you never know who they really are and what beautiful gift they carry inside. One act of kindness can change a life forever. Amaka didn't know she was feeding a billionaire in disguise. Let this story remind us, never look down on anyone. What's the kindest thing someone has ever done for you? Share it in the comments. Let's spread love and hope. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more powerful stories that uplift and inspire. Only on African Tales by Cecilia, where every story carries a soul.